There's one thing you need to stop doing if you want to make money off your creativity, and that's trying to make money off your creativity. So you're wanting to commit yourself, you're wanting to step in, you're wanting to create your most magnificent, amazing, wildly creative life, but you keep finding yourself falling out of love with your creative process. This could be why. So in this video, I'm going to explain how we've actually got it all backwards, and I'm going to give you a few tips to help you start shifting your perspective so that you can focus on falling back in love with your creative process and living your most amazingly thriving, beautiful, juicy creative life. So like I said, we've got it all backwards, and I mean we as a society. But especially as creatives, we're actually here to change the way that the world works, and we're here to bring something new and be a new way of doing life. Because if you look around at the world, at the economy, at the rates of depression, anxiety, stress, suicide that are going through the roof, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that the way we've been doing things up until now isn't really working very well. Most of us are focusing on all these arbitrary metrics of like followers and likes and how many people are watching me and how many dollars are in my bank account, and letting that measure whether we should keep doing the thing that we really want to do or not. I am absolutely not saying don't make money off your creativity, but I'm saying don't create to make money. Don't let making money be the reason that you create, because you're very, very quickly going to fall out of love with your creative process. Doing it for the love of the work is to become the main priority. Focus on falling so in love with the process of creating, with who you get to be and the way that you feel when you create. Let that be the reason that you create, not to achieve some particular outcome that's outside of yourself. Which brings me to tip number 1, which is try shifting your priorities. The more pressure you put on your creativity to make you money, to make you successful, the more likely you're going to inhibit your creativity. Hot tip, the way that our brains work, the way that creativity works, is the more stress we have in our system, the more we're in fight or flight and survival mode. Stress, got to do the thing, got to make money, got to pay the bills, so I have to create. That's not how creativity works. So the more stress you put on your creativity, the more likely you're actually going to physically inhibit your brain's capacity for pattern recognition, for seeing correlations between different things, for thinking creatively. And so your creativity is actually going to shut down. So I want you to ask yourself, what is your motivation? Am I creating because I need to prove myself? Am I creating because I want a particular outcome? Am I creating to seek like external validation to tell me that my creativity is even worth it? We live in a society that says that if it's not productive, if it's not earning you money, then you probably shouldn't give your time and energy to it. And it's such a joke, because if we're not doing the things that we love, what even is the point of any of this? The point of life is to enjoy it, to live, to do the things that bring you to life. Is that why you create? Do you create because it's your lifeblood, because it brings you alive, because it's the thing that gives your life meaning and purpose, aside from an income or a paycheck? That's why we should be creating. That right there is what makes you a creative. Which brings me to tip number 2, which is don't look down when you're filming. Which brings me to tip number 2, which is you get to focus on internal motivators as opposed to external motivators. You need to find your why. You need to find that thing inside of you that brings you alive, that gives your life meaning and purpose. And money is not that thing. Money is a resource. And it's great. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But it's a really shit motivator. Money's not enough to keep us going when it comes to creative living. To move through all the resistance, all the parts of us that say it's a waste of time, I should be doing something more productive, the world says I need to grow up and, get a real job. This is all the stuff that we come up against when we decide to live the life of a creative. But if you're wanting to create something different, to live a life of freedom and joy and expansion and all of those things, you're going to come up against all these parts of yourself, whether they're programs, whether they're learnt behaviors, whether they're beliefs, whatever you want to call them. You've got all these internal parts of you that are saying, Or can I do this? I don't know if I'm good enough. Can you tell me if I'm good enough? My bank account says I'm not good enough. And money is not enough of a reason to keep going. Instead, we need to connect to the real reason that you want to spend more time creating. Focus on how good it feels to show up to your practice even when you don't want to. Focus on the confidence that comes with watching yourself get better. Focus on that feeling you get when you see yourself nail something you've been trying to do for ages and you've given your time and energy and devotion to getting good at that thing. That's what you want to be motivated by. Tip number 3, which brings me to tip number 3, which is learn to fall in love with the process of creating. You know, we get to fall in love with the process of showing up for our creativity and let go of the need to have a particular outcome. I recently found out about a scientific study where they took a bunch of kids, 3 or 4 years old, who love drawing and got them to draw, and then they started rewarding them for drawing. And what happened was they actually lost their motivation to just do the thing that they love doing because they started just wanting the reward. If we're trying to get something, if we're creating to gain something, we're always going to end up losing our motivation. Creativity is about what we can give. It's about how we can make people feel, and it's about who we get to become in the process of creating. That should be the thing that keeps us going. That should be the thing that keeps us showing up to our creativity. Not trying to make money, not trying to get followers, not trying to achieve some arbitrary figure that makes us feel validated in doing the thing that just comes naturally to us. Making money should be a beautiful byproduct of your devotion to your craft, of you saying, you know what, I don't care if this ever makes me any money. I don't care how many people like me. I'm going to do this thing because I love it. I'm going to do it for the love of the work. That energy can be felt. And I think that when we choose that path over, I'm going to capitalize on my gifts and monetize my gifts, which has become such a thing, I feel like life moves to support us because that's how we're meant to live. Being a creative is not something you do, it's who you are. It's a whole life path. And if that's going to be attached just to income, it's not enough to keep you going when it gets hard. So if you've liked this video, if it resonates, if you feel like you have creatives in your world who can benefit from hearing this, please give it a like, share, get the message out there. It helps me build the channel and I'm super grateful. And also make sure that you tune into my next video where I'm going to be talking about my unpopular opinion about what it takes to actually succeed as a creative. Mwah.